Welcome to ReNenergy.com, your renewable energy and sustainability platform. Welcome to a conversation that could redefine how we view waste, specifically, food waste. You might find it shocking to learn that if food waste were a country, it would rank third in global greenhouse gas emissions, right behind China and the USA. We at ReNenergy.com invite you to explore this invisible nation, a nation of waste that is contributing to climate change, economic losses, and social inequality. Are you ready to delve into the complex landscape of food waste? Let's unpack it together. Did you know that nearly 1/3 of all food produced in the world goes to waste? That's enough to fill 100,000 Olympic swimming pools. Welcome to today's deep dive into a global issue that remains largely unseen but is right under our nose, or rather, on our plates. We're talking about the invisible nation, a term we're using to describe the shocking scale of food waste. If food waste were a country, brace yourself, it would rank third in the world for greenhouse gas emissions, right after China and the United States. Imagine an entire nation built on waste, invisibly contributing to climate change and resource depletion. Intrigued? Stay tuned as we unpack this critical issue. In our invisible nation, the consequences aren't just vanishing into thin air. So, what happens when a third of the world's food gets wasted? We're not just talking about a missed opportunity to feed the hungry. We're talking about a cascade of environmental repercussions. To give you a sense of scale, food waste alone is responsible for about 8% of global greenhouse gas emissions. That's more than the aviation industry. And it doesn't stop there. The water used to produce this wasted food could fill the world's largest lake 3 times over. Every time food is wasted, we're not just wasting the food itself. We're wasting valuable resources like land, water, and energy that went into producing it. Consider this. Globally, the land used to grow food that ends up being wasted is larger than the size of China. Yes, you heard it right, larger than China. And it's not just the land, it's also the loss of biodiversity as habitats are destroyed to make way for farmland that ultimately produces waste. Moreover, when food waste ends up in landfills, it decomposes anaerobically, releasing methane, a potent greenhouse gas that's 28 times more harmful than carbon dioxide over a 100-year period. In essence, the environmental toll of food waste is a multifaceted problem affecting our atmosphere, our lands, and our waters. Intrigued yet? Hold on to your seats as we dig even deeper into the economic aspects of this invisible crisis in the next section. The unseen pollution from our plates. When you hear the word pollution, what comes to mind? Maybe it is factories with smoking chimneys or oceans filled with plastic. Yet, how often do we think about the food we discard as a form of pollution? Today, we aim to unveil this silent and unseen environmental culprit, food waste. First up is the atmosphere. Food waste contributes to a staggering 8% of global greenhouse gas emissions. To give you a comparison, that is more than the entire global aviation industry. Your discarded apple core, when magnified on a global scale, becomes an environmental problem bigger than fleets of airplanes flying across continents. But the waste is not just aerial, it infiltrates our Earth's resources as well. The land used to grow the food we waste could span an area larger than Canada. We also consume water equivalent to the flow of Europe's largest river, the Volga, every single year. And this occurs while valuable energy is expended at every stage, from the farm to your fork and ultimately, to the landfill. Lastly, let us examine an overlooked aspect: biodiversity loss. Every plot of land transformed into an agricultural space translates to a loss in natural habitats. Species lose their homes, populations decline, and we might lose some creatures before we even get to know they existed. It is akin to deleting chapters from Earth's biodiversity book, chapters that can never be rewritten. So, as we explore this topic further, remember that food waste is not just a waste of food, it is an environmental crisis that deserves our full attention. The hidden costs of wasted opportunities. Have you ever considered the real price of the meal in front of you? I am not talking about just the dollars and cents you paid at the counter. Now, multiply that cost by 1/3, and extend it to all the meals, in all the homes, restaurants, and nations across the world. It quickly adds up, doesn't it? This is the staggering financial burden of food waste on a global scale. Firstly, let's focus on production costs. When food goes to waste, the money spent on growing, harvesting, transporting, and processing it also goes down the drain. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the global cost of food wastage is around $1 trillion annually. That's more than the GDP of most countries. It means we're essentially throwing away resources equivalent to creating a whole new economic system every year. Then, there are waste management costs. Collecting, transporting, and disposing of food waste isn't free. In the United States alone, municipalities spend approximately $1.5 billion annually on managing wasted food through disposal methods like landfilling and incineration. These methods are not only environmentally damaging but also highly inefficient and costly. And let's not forget market inefficiencies. From farmers unable to sell their produce in time to supermarkets discarding items just because they're not aesthetically pleasing, the chain of waste continues. These inefficiencies add an additional layer of expenses that ultimately comes out of our pockets. So the next time you think about the cost of your meal, remember, it's more than just what you pay at the register. Food waste carries a heavy economic toll, one that's being paid by all of us, in ways we may not even realize. When social inequality meets environmental crisis. Food waste is an alarming reflection of both social inequality and environmental imbalance. In a society where food scarcity coexists with excessive food waste, we're faced with a critical question: how can this cycle of inefficiency be so damaging to both people and the planet? When food is discarded, it's not just a matter of social justice, though the missed opportunity to feed those in need is a grave concern. There's also an environmental cost. Every piece of food that ends up in a landfill took water, land, and energy to produce, harvest, and transport. As this food decays, it releases greenhouse gases, contributing to climate change. In essence, the waste amplifies the environmental crisis we face today. This cycle creates a self-perpetuating loop of social and environmental decline. As resources are increasingly diverted to produce food that is ultimately wasted, we exacerbate the ecological degradation that disproportionately affects those who are already socially disadvantaged. So, as we explore the topic of food waste, it's crucial to remember that this isn't just about landfill sizes or carbon emissions in isolation. It's a complex issue that sits at the intersection of social inequality and environmental degradation, demanding solutions that address both facets concurrently. Navigating the regulatory maze of food waste. Have you ever wondered if current policies are really making a dent in the colossal problem of food waste? We live in a world with a growing awareness of environmental and social issues, but is legislation keeping up? Current policies vary widely from one jurisdiction to another but typically include landfill bans on organic waste, tax incentives for businesses that donate food, and public awareness campaigns. While these have had some positive effects, they often fall short of addressing the root causes of food waste. For instance, landfill bans can lead to more incineration, which is also environmentally damaging. Tax incentives are great, but they don't necessarily change consumer behavior, which is a major contributor to food waste. So, what can be done to radically change the landscape of food waste management? Some proposed initiatives are downright visionary. Consider the concept of a circular food economy, where food production and consumption are designed to minimize waste and maximize resource efficiency. This could involve tech solutions like smart packaging that indicates actual food freshness, bypassing misleading expiration dates. Other proposals involve community-based composting systems, reducing the need for waste transport and its accompanying carbon footprint. When tackling food waste, laws and policies aren't just about controlling what goes into our bins, they shape the entire food supply chain, from farm to fork. The urgency to adapt and innovate has never been greater. As we continue to delve into the various aspects of food waste, keep in mind that regulation and policy are crucial levers for meaningful, lasting change. The digital frontier of food waste solutions. Imagine a future where your fridge notifies you to use the vegetables before they go bad, or where a network of sensors predicts the exact demand for produce in a grocery store. Sounds like science fiction? Well, these technological advancements are not only possible but are already in development. First up is the Internet of Things, or IoT. With connected devices and smart sensors, the IoT is revolutionizing how we track food at every step. These systems can monitor food freshness and send real-time updates to both consumers and retailers, ensuring that food is consumed before it spoils. This could drastically reduce the amount of food that ends up in waste bins while optimizing supply chain operations. But the innovation doesn't stop there. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is another game changer in the fight against food waste. Advanced algorithms can analyze consumer behavior, seasonal trends, and even weather conditions to predict food supply and demand with unprecedented accuracy. This allows retailers to order only what they can sell and farmers to produce only what is needed, creating a more efficient food ecosystem. Lastly, let's talk about blockchain technology. If trust and transparency are what we need, blockchain delivers. By creating an immutable record of transactions, blockchain can trace food from the farm to the plate. This brings an unprecedented level of accountability to the food supply chain, making it easier to identify inefficiencies and even prevent fraud. So, as we navigate the complex issue of food waste, remember that technology offers promising avenues for change. From smart fridges to AI algorithms and transparent blockchains, the future of food waste management is looking more efficient, transparent, and sustainable than ever. Grassroots change, the power of community and individual actions. What if the change we're seeking doesn't just come from policymakers or tech innovators but from us, the everyday people in our communities? While top-down solutions are essential, bottom-up actions can ignite immediate and meaningful change right in our own backyards. Communities across the globe are stepping up their game. Food banks are increasingly partnering with local supermarkets to redirect unsellable yet perfectly edible food to those who need it. Similarly, community composting initiatives are making it easier than ever to convert kitchen scraps into valuable soil, bypassing the landfill route. These local programs prove that community-level actions can collectively make a significant dent in reducing food waste. But don't underestimate the impact of individual actions. You don't have to be part of a large organization to make a difference. Here are some straightforward yet powerful ways to contribute. Be a smart shopper, plan your meals and stick to a shopping list. Know your labels, understand the difference between sell-by, use-by, and best-by dates. Get creative in the kitchen, use leftovers to concoct new dishes and make broths from vegetable scraps. Share, don't discard. If you can't finish something, give it to a friend, neighbor, or even a local food bank. Remember, tackling food waste is not just a job for politicians, companies, or tech innovators, it's a collective responsibility that starts with individual actions. So, as you continue to learn about this multifaceted issue, consider the small yet impactful steps you can take every day. By combining community initiatives with individual actions, we create a tapestry of solutions that can dramatically alter the course of food waste and its impacts. Real-world success stories, the possibility of change. Who says tackling food waste is an insurmountable challenge? There are countries, cities, and corporations already showing us that change is not just possible, it's happening. For instance, Denmark has reduced its food waste by 25% in just 5 years, thanks in part to a supermarket chain selling ugly produce at a discount. Similarly, San Francisco has achieved an 80% landfill diversion rate, thanks in part to its robust composting and recycling programs. On the corporate front, blockchain platforms like IBM Food Trust are pioneering new levels of transparency and efficiency in the supply chain. This platform collaborates with major agribusiness companies including Walmart, Tyson Foods, Nestlé, and Unilever. It offers unparalleled traceability from farm to retail, giving both companies and consumers the information they need to make responsible choices. These case studies serve as beacons, illuminating the path forward and proving that with the right strategies and community involvement, reducing food waste is an achievable goal. Conclusion. We've traveled a long road exploring the labyrinthine issue of food waste, from its startling environmental footprint to its economic and social repercussions. We've peeked into the regulatory frameworks governing it and glanced at the cutting-edge technologies that promise a more sustainable future. Platforms like IBM Food Trust represent the synergy between technology and corporate responsibility, serving as an example of what's possible when innovation meets vision. But let's not forget the everyday heroes in our communities and even ourselves. Each one of us holds a piece of the solution in our hands. So, what will you do to be part of the change? The time for action is now, and the power to make a difference is yours. We've journeyed through the intricate web of food waste, examining its multifaceted impact on our planet and society. From groundbreaking technologies like IBM Food Trust to grassroots community actions, we've seen that solutions are not just possible, they're already in motion. But the story doesn't end here. We, at ReneEnergy.com, believe that each of you holds the power to change the narrative. So, what action will you take today to be a part of this critical shift? Remember, the time for change is now, and you're an integral part of that change. Thank you for joining us in this enlightening exploration. Let's build a future with less waste and more sustainability, together.